Hello and good day. We are from BMMM and we will present about thermodynamic refrigerant system, which is include compressor, condenser, expansion valve, evaporator and refrigerant cycle. Let's go to the first topic. Assalamualaikum and very good day. I am Muhammad Amal bin Anwar. I will explain about the compressor. So as you can see in the slide, the compressor is circulate the refrigerant in the system under pressure. This concentrate the heat it contains at the compressor. The low pressure gas is changed to a high pressure gas. You can see that is a air conditioning compressor, car compressor and fridge compressor. So function and working principle for compressor. The compressor is the heart of the refrigeration system. The compressor acts as the pump that moves the refrigerant through the system. Temperature sensor start the compressor action. Refrigeration system cool object to the repeated refrigeration cycle. The compressor is the pump that enables the flow of the refrigerants. The compressor works by increase the pressure and temperature of the vaporized refrigerant. There are different types of compressor for refrigerant applications such as reciprocating, rotary and centrifugal compressor are the most common among refrigeration units. In the first stage of the refrigeration cycle, we call it a compressor. Refrigerant enter a compressor as a low pressure vapor. The compressor compress the refrigerant to high pressure vapor, causing it to become superheated. Once the refrigerant is compressed and heated, it leaves the compressor and enter the next stage of the cycle. So that is a working principle for the compressor. How different compressor work? So the first one, that is the reciprocating compressor, which is there has a piston for the crankshaft and the motor rotate the crankshaft which then push the piston. For the second one, the rotary vane compressor. The operation of a rotary vane compressor includes 5 actions, which is start, suction, compression, discharge, then end. Then each crankshaft rotation achieves all these 5 actions. Vane compressor is domestic refrigeration and air conditioning units. They also feature in heat pump. So heat pump also use this compressor. And for the third one is the rotary screw compressor. This compressor uses helical screw rotors to compress a larger volume of refrigerant. The compression involves the motor and the male and female rotors. The motor rotates the male rotor to the crankshaft. The male rotor moves the female rotor as the rotor intermesh against each other. And the last one is the centrifugal compressor. Usually this one used in the aircraft industry in the turbine. The name for centrifugal compressor is a turbo or radial compressor. The machine compresses the refrigerant by kinetic energy to rotating impellers. As the impellers rotate, they force the refrigerant to the inlet vane. The high pressure refrigerant then passes through the diffuser. In the diffuser, the gas volume of the refrigerant expands as the speed decreases. Centrifugal compress convert the kinetic energy of high speed, low pressure refrigerant. The result is low speed, high pressure gas. So there is a 4 type of the compressor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ifah Mukri bin Ismail and I will present about the condenser. First of all, there are a lot of types condenser, which are car condenser, air conditioning condenser and fridge condenser. First, air cooled condenser divided by 2, which are natural convection and forced convection. Next, water cooled condenser divided by 3, double tube, cell and coil condenser and cell and tube condenser. Lastly is our evaporative condenser. Actually the mix of air cool water cool condenser. Next is the subcomponent of condensers. A cabin is a housing for other parts coil which can be made by copper or aluminiums, and a compressor which is increasing pressure, and a fan whose job is flowing air into coils. The coils can be of the copper or aluminium, and it's better to be of aluminium so heat can be better and faster transfers. The fan is essential part 2. Its job to circulate the flow air across the coils. This causes the heat transfer and cooling process better and faster. Next, the evaporator coil is found in the indoor unit, while in the central system it is located in the air handler. And the purpose of the compressor, of course, is to compress the refrigerant, which is warm vapor as it reaches the compressor to a hot compressed liquid. And in between of the condenser and evaporator, there is another little gadget called as expansion valve. As the refrigerant is now a liquid, it will be unable to absorb the heat. So for the next part is function of condenser. Condenser are used in home or industrial refrigerants system, heat pump, industrial steams, power plants, air conditioner, and many other systems which needs to be cooled. Next, condenser are used for efficient heat rejection in many industrial system. Condenser actually remove heat from the hot refrigerant vapor gas until it condenses into a saturated liquid. Lastly, heat exchanger used to condense a gaseous substance into a liquid state through cooling. Next, for the working process principle condenser, 3 different phases happen in every condenser. The first phase is called the superheating. The vapor entering into the condenser is already superheated and superpressurized in the evaporator and compressor. This superheating means to eject the heat from the vapor and turns into liquid. The next level is changing or condensation state, losing more heat, continuous in this state where we reach at 10% of refrigerant as vapor and 90% of liquid. The third and last phase is a subcooling state. The subcooling state is there so as to be sure that not even rising temperatures can bring the liquid refrigerant into vapor again. Thank you. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I'm continue my explanation about expansion valve, I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Nur Akmal Afiq bin Muhammad. Matrix number B092110433. How the expansion valve work? The expansion valve remove pressure from the liquid refrigerant to allow expansion or change of state from liquid to a vapor in the evaporator. The high pressure liquid refrigerant entering the expansion valve is quite warm. This may be verified by filling the liquid line at its connection to its expansion valve. There are 4 types of expansion valve. First is automatic expansion valve. Second is thermostatic expansion valve. Third is capillary tube. Fourth are float valve. First expansion valve, it is automatic expansion valve. In the automatic expansion valve, the spring pressure along with the atmospheric pressure acts on the diaphragm and push it down. As a result, the needle also tends to move down away from the seat, leading to the opening of the valve. The evaporator pressure push the diaphragm in an upward direction. Second is thermostatic expansion valve. With a universal charge, the bulb filled with a liquid cross charge. Whenever the bulb sends in an increase in suction line temperature, the liquid expand, increasing the pressure in the fixed volume and push the diaphragm down, thereby opening the valve and allowing more liquid refrigerant into the evaporator. The third one is capillary tube. Capillary tube is a tube with a calibrated inside, diameter and length used to control the flow and refrigerant. It also connects the remote bulb to the thermostatic expansion valve and the remote bulb to the thermostat. The last one is float valve. Valve float occurs when the valve springs are incapable of holding the valvetrain against the camshaft loop after peak lift. This happens when either the weight of the combined valvetrain components or the RPM speed of the engine creates so much inertia that the spring is no longer able to control the valve. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Shazwan bin Nizam, and now I want to present to you about the evaporator in the refrigeration system. First of all is, what is evaporator? In a conventional refrigeration circuit, the evaporator is the second heat exchanger, and it, like the condenser, is called after its primary purpose, given that it performs what we anticipate air conditioning to do, which is absorb heat. It acts as the business end of a refrigeration cycle. Okay, the third is function of the evaporator. This is the section of the refrigeration system that actually cools the air. The evaporator is situated in the area to be cooled, since its job to absorb heat into the refrigeration system. Okay, as the diagram shown, is first of the process is refrigerants enter the evaporator, core at the bottom as low pressure, low temperature liquid, and it go up, and the second is heat cause the refrigerant to boil and change from a liquid to a gas. And the lastly is the refrigerant leave the evaporator as a low pressure vapor. Okay, next is type of evaporator in refrigerant system. Flooded evaporators and dry or direct expansion evaporators are the two most common types of evaporator utilized in today's refrigerant system. Okay, first of the type is dry or direct expansion evaporator. The refrigerant runs along the tube side of a dry expansion evaporator, while chilled fluid flows along the shell side. As the diagram shown below is the system of dry type evaporator. Okay, the second is flat evaporator. The refrigerant runs along the shell side of the flat evaporators, while the fluid to be cooled flow down to the tube. And as the diagram shown below is the flat evaporator system.
For the last one is a refrigerant. Refrigerant, we can say it is a fluid or liquid in a gas state. It readily absorbs heat from the environment and can provide refrigeration or air conditioning when combined with other components such as a compressor and evaporators. There is a car refrigerant and there is a air conditioning refrigerant. After we all know about the basic component of refrigerant, so this is the refrigeration working cycle. There are 5 states. During the state 1, after the refrigerant pass through evaporator, the fluid convert it completely to vapor. And during the state 2, after the fluid pass through a compressor, it increased the fluid pressure and temperature up to superheated level. And then state 3 and 4, when the fluid pass through the end condenser, which transfer heat to ambient and condense the fluid to liquid. And during the state 5, the fluid pass through an expansion valve, which lower the pressure of the fluid, and the working cycle are repeat again. Refrigerant also have type, which is the most used R290, which is called propane, and R3600A, which is called isobutane. It's the most energy efficient refrigerant found in the market, and it claims zero cases of the refrigerant catching a fire on this refrigerant. But the most popular use on the Malaysia is R32 refrigerant. This refrigerant is definitely more environmental friendly, and its use should be encouraged at all levels, beginning with governing authorities. Come to the conclusion, we can say that this refrigeration system are very useful and widely used in human life. That's all from us. Thank you for listening and watching.